Hi, folks. Hope you're all good. I'd like to talk about the ethics of entertainment. I haven't seen any other videos about this subject, so I think this seems to me to be reasonably original and unique, but who knows? It's hard to be original and unique these days. A quick point I'd like to make is that if my skin looks a bit shiny or white, it's because I'm wearing some sunblock. It's quite a hot day, and I've been out, and I'm gonna go out again. So that's the explanation for that. Okay, so the ethics of entertainment. What I've done is I've taken six areas of entertainment, or I've divided entertainment into six categories, and what I'm going to do is rank those categories in the order of how beneficial they are to the world. So, to try and create a nice, positive, upbeat atmosphere, I'm going to start with the worst one in my eyes and then move sequentially to the best one, to the most ethical area of entertainment. So, for people who don't know me, my ethics are a little bit different to a lot of people. I'm a utilitarian, and I've probably got a little bit of a different angle on what's good and what's bad in the world. Actually, not so much from my utilitarianism, it's also from the fact that I see hierarchy and conflict as two huge areas of misery in the world and instability going forward. So, when I'm talking about ethics of anything, I'm often looking at hierarchy and conflict factors and looking at trying to get rid of those things. So, the worst category, the worst type of entertainment for me is sport. This is because sport is all about conflict. You really can't get away from it. You pretty much can't come up with a sport that isn't about conflict. It like wouldn't be a sport really if there wasn't some sort of competition, some sort of winners and losers. Also, you do get, I guess, a kind of hierarchy when you have winners and losers. So, sport, as far as I can see, just makes us more conflict orientated, I would imagine. Now, people might say that they watch sport and they enjoy the conflict, but they don't take it really seriously. They can't compartmentalize it. So they can watch a game of football and enjoy it, and then they watch the news and they haven't got this conflict hat still on, and they can just get away from that. But I don't believe you can completely do it. You watch the World Cup, you got countries competing, then you watch the news, you got wars with countries competing, or economics where countries want to do better than each other, or that's the attitude of some people. And I can't see sport not fueling that a bit. That's my guess anyway. Okay, so next category, the next best one is video games. Video games, a bit like sport, there's a lot of conflict based. Basically, you're often playing against the computer, but it's always about beating something or someone. Often a lot of killing, probably violence. Obviously, violence is a lot worse than in sport, though it's all simulated. And yes, you can get some friendly games where you're just solving a puzzle, something like Tetris. There isn't an obvious enemy, so that's why it's come up a little bit higher than sport. Next best, fiction. So here I'm including films and also novels. and whatever other fiction, like made up stories in whatever form you find them. And so uh, again, fictions, it hasn't doesn't have to be conflict like with sport. It's not quite as bad as sport, but it's hard to write a piece of fiction without conflict. It just becomes boring, and it's just a bit hard to get away from that. So I can see fiction having similar problems to sport. Actually, fiction quite likely to could be worse than sport even, because it's all about supposed to be real life. Some of it's like historical stuff. It really Fiction will take a piece of reality and it will inject more conflict into it than it really has. So if you think of high school in the USA, and I never went to school in the USA, but I can imagine the scene by the lockers, and I've seen so many films where the kids are hanging around in school by the lockers, and there's just so much conflict, isn't there, in movies in around that space, and it's just all hyped up, isn't it? Same with just about any situation films cover. They will find the conflict in it. It's very scary. Okay, so next best. So we're moving into the best half of the six categories I've got here. So this isn't so bad. Is a slightly miscellaneous category, which is informative stuff. So I'm including non-fiction books and documentaries and chat shows and things like that. Um, game shows. Actually, thinking about it, a bit of a grey area between what sport and this. Maybe a bit of fiction. Who knows? But forgetting about game shows. So yeah, documentaries and so on. Now they are the thing with this category that makes it better than the previous ones is that it informative stuff does you this great service of telling you about things, and we need an informed population. So it's the only one on this list really that is a necessary thing. We do need to have some news, I think. The trouble is the way it is. It's just pretty toxic, a lot of it. So the chat shows and things just create this hierarchy of like celebrity, and I feel that I'm a radical egalitarian, so I feel that we don't need to have celebrities at all. It's all very harmful. They're gonna tend to make us more competitive and make us want to be them, and they're going to preach hierarchy to us. Not in every case, but there's going to be a trend where they're going to want this world where they're on top, and they've got this fantastic platform to preach this to the rest of us. The news again is looking for the bad news, looking for the drama. Really, the news is absolutely horrible. I think in practice, though. As I said, I think it's a necessary thing. We just need to. I don't have a brilliant plan for how to make news, but it needs to be much better than it is, much more positive, much less biased, and so on. But anyway, I'm not alone in saying that kind of thing. That could be something for another video. So that's informative stuff. So we're in the top two now. Second best form of entertainment is pornography. You might be surprised to hear that. Pornography would make it to the bottom, at the bottom of the list for a lot of people. But I see sex as mostly harmless, I think. I don't think it does watching people kind of join up physically for the enjoyment of them, or fake enjoyment of them, or whatever, is, I don't know, it seems there's nothing fundamentally bad about it. I don't think it's going to make you, I don't think it's going to increase hierarchy too much or increase conflict. I mean, it's kind of the opposite. Obviously, there's going to be bad porn, whether it's violent or whatever, and it's possible porn, the people making it could be being mistreated by other people, and it could be, obviously there could be terrible situations like that. But I don't think it's fundamental, and I imagine most porn it isn't like that. So they are consenting and so on. So I suppose the worst problem I can think with it is that it could make you dissatisfied with your current sex life or something, or it's just unrealistic sort of situations, and that sort of thing. But there could be an upside. I mean, it could kind of invigorate your sex life. Who knows? But that's a slight negative, I suppose, why it didn't end up number one here. So what is number one? It is music. Music seems fairly harmless to me. I think that obviously there's a bit of hierarchy where you get like the rock star on stage and everybody adoring rather him or her, and that's hierarchical and so on. Obviously, lyrics can be about violence. They can be bad. It can be nationalistic. But none of that is inherent, and a lot of music just isn't about that. A lot of it is about nice stuff. And also, you got a lot of instrumental music, and as far as I can see, what all that does really is just give pleasure to people and relax people and so on. So music would, for me, be the best form of entertainment. So I'll just run through the list quickly again. I can write it below as well. So last place, sixth place is sport, followed by video games, then fiction, then informative stuff, then pornography, and the best one is music. Hope you enjoyed this video. All the best.